Our second presenter has, since 1975, been a writer, performer, director, and activist. She's created performances, plays, arts-based civic dialogues, and community arts projects throughout the United States and Europe. The New York Times described her Obie-winning City Water Tunnel No. 3 as lyrical, speaking with intimate knowledge, and yes, even love. A blending of Studs Terkel, Anna Devere Smith, and Pete Seeger. You're in for a treat. I'd like to welcome Marty Pottenger.
Thanks, everyone. Nice to be here. I'm thinking of this as I just got back from spending 2.5 weeks clearing out my folks' home. So, wow. And I'm thinking of this as a bit of a love song and a thank you to Portland, Maine, where I've been since where I've lived here since 2007. Start with a poem I wrote to encourage policemen to write poetry as a way of improving their morale. Police won't write poetry. It's too personal, too exposed, and they expose themselves every day to danger, to confusion, to risk, to surprise, just like poetry, where to do it right, you have to be present like a counselor, willing like a parent, tough like a Marine, tender like a human, for something you don't expect or sometimes want to hear, demanding attention, demanding you, requiring you to stand up, face up, step up, like how scary it sometimes is to be alone in a squad car late at night or in the middle of the day, or how hard it is to make the switch from poetry to regular life, to come home from this intense time where maybe nothing happened yet. You're exhausted and irritated by everything, and there's life, I mean poetry, demanding that you care, that you not hide, not duck, but feel real, feel what's real, wake up your whole self and deal, just like poetry, I mean life. This is Michael Macklin, who passed away this year, Betsy Scholl, Martin Steingesser, and Annie Finch, 4 of the 5 poets who did the first police poetry calendar in 2009 to raise Portland Police Department's poetry. The project is called Art at Work. It's to design arts projects that tackle very clearly identified, tangible problems that keep a city from being as good and great as it could be. This is Daniel Minter working, doing a block prints carving with public service workers. I ended up taking these photographs of this is a project called Lines Portland, taking photographs of these lines that the public service repair crew did to fix cracks to try to save money so they didn't have to resurface the whole road. I call this Red Car Galaxy. I got a call from Katerina Wieslin at my office in City Hall. You're welcome to come visit room 111. And she said, you're the last person I'm calling. I need to know how does this happen. It turns out Katerina had also been taking photographs and was making prints of the same lines that I was making. So we did an exhibit in Art at Work City Hall Gallery, the 2nd floor. You're all welcome to come. Some of you may remember David Okad, a Sudanese man, was shot and killed by the police. He had a gun. A lot of teenagers started throwing rocks and bottles and increasing, ever-escalating incidents. The police chief called and asked if I would write and design and direct a play for high school students, and that was called Radio Calls for 1,100 students. You know Rocco Landisman had an NEA for at least a little while longer. Here he is at the gallery meeting some of the public service workers when he came to Portland to visit. They're checking him out. Kyle Bryant, there's a project called Meeting Place. It got the NEA Art Town Award, which is how we paid for it. It was working with 4 neighborhoods, and each 4 amazing artists did original map. This is West End's map by Kyle Bryant. And it was a chance, the project was intended to actually increase the diversity of neighborhood associations. This is West End's project was photography with Tony Harbert, an extraordinary photographer, and this is the exhibit at Maine Irish Heritage Center. Each of the volunteer, neighbors, residents who did photographs, one of their home, one of a neighbor, one of a location in the West End. It's a chance to actually reset their identity. This is Patrick Corrigan's artist original map of Bayside. Bayside's having a lot of issues around the social service and the neighborhoods who live there, and this is Patrick's story map of Bayside. These are all available if you want. We're selling them, not here, but just get a hold of me. And this is a workshop. Daniel Minter was Bayside's artist. Tony Harbert was West End's artist. This is a workshop we did to gather stories and images from Preble Street Resource Center. We did a bunch of workshops with Bayside Neighborhood Association and with other groups in the neighborhood to really try to help and let art actually gather the stories. These is one of 30 original art cards. Daniel Minter did all the graphics, and the residents and myself and some other teammates gathered the stories and edited them. We're giving 2 sets, so 60 cards to 30 businesses in Bayside. They'll be giving them out to free for customers until they run out. Each one has a story about a Bayside resident and a Bayside incident. This is East Bayside's map by Allison Goodwin. I'm sure some of you recognize it. It was great to work with her. One of the things about the project, it was a year-long project, as I said, called Meeting Place, and one of the intentions was to actually help diversify. None of the neighborhood associations really reflect the diversity of the residents, and so outreach was critical. They did a community planted sunflowers, maybe you read about it. And this is the Maine Muslim Community Center. Tim Clorius did that fence. Jan Purebeck, one of the fence muralists and East Bayside's vice president, actually is going to talk later tonight. I definitely encourage you. She's going to talk a lot more about that project. But and here's Elizabeth Jabbar, Mecca's. Here's her Libbytown map. And each neighborhood had kind of a compelling issue, and Libbytown's was, where's Libbytown? And so their project was, can poetry stitch a neighborhood back together? Since 295, tore it apart. And Elizabeth, we did 4 story nights for each neighborhood at Maine Historical Society. See that banner up there? There's 7 of those with a different poem on each side, and there's 100 little banners about 10 inches high all over Libbytown, posted for the next year with poems that were created out of stories from residents. Feel free to go. We have a map online that shows you where. And then this is the end, I think. This is another project that I didn't mention called Portland Works, 50% grassroots theater community leaders and 50% city staff. My grandmother grew up in Scotland, then moved to Old Munjoy Hill. I saw where she lived throughout Portland, but she never lost her old Scottish lilt. I've seen the city grow older while its people grow younger still. It struggles and soars, keeps open its doors, but will there still be an Old Munjoy Hill? And that's, I've had the privilege and honor of working in City Hall and meeting city workers. It really is correctly called public service. And it's a lovely place where arts and we can all get together.
Thank you, Marty Pottenger.